This is Connor Bedard, and he was drafted first overall by the Chicago Blackhawks. But in today's video, he's going to have to work his way up to the NHL. He's not just going to be able to go straight to the NHL like he's going to do in real life. He's going to start in the WHL, then work his way up to the ECHL, then the AHL, and finally the NHL. But in order for him to move up to a higher league, he's going to have to win the playoff trophy award for that league. So in the WHL, it's a Memorial Cup. The ECHL, it's called the Kelly Cup. The AHL is going to have the Calder Cup, and finally in the NHL, it's of course the Stanley Cup. So he's going to start out in the WHL on the Regina Pats and then move up to the Indy Fuel, then the Rockford Ice Hogs, and finally the Chicago Blackhawks. Well, you guys are probably wondering, how on earth is Connor Bedard going to win a Stanley Cup with Chicago in NHL 23? Because we all know how bad the Chicago Blackhawks roster truly is. So what we will do when we get to the NHL is every season that the Chicago Blackhawks do not win the Stanley Cup, I'm going to add any superstar in the NHL of my choosing to Chicago. I can literally pick anybody that I want. Also, once Connor Bedard is in the NHL, he's going to be in his prime, so he's going to be one of the best players in the entire NHL. Alright, so here is Connor Bedard. He's on the Regina Pats, obviously in the WHL. That's the team he played for in real life. He's going to be an 85 overall, and honestly, this Regina Pats team is not very good. There's a reason they lost in the first round in real life. Well, they did lose in Game 7, but I mean, having a guy like Connor Bedard on your team, you should go further than that. So hopefully we can get the WHL done in one season, but highly unlikely considering this roster is not very good. Alright, so the Regina Pats are actually going to end up finishing first in the entire WHL. They would go 47, 13, and 8. They were 5 points ahead of the Seattle Thunderbirds, so they actually had a very good regular season despite not having the greatest team. But I'm willing to bet that Connor Bedard absolutely carried them, and I was 100% right, as Connor Bedard is going to finish the season with 85 goals and 132 points. I mean, the assist totals were kind of low, but the goal totals were definitely higher, even higher than they were in real life. I believe Bedard had like 140 points in real life, so he had a bit more, but the goals, 85 goals in 68 games is very good. The rest of his team would kind of chip in. I mean, this guy had 64 points, Howe had 63, Quarling 36. Obviously, Bedard would end up having the most goals at 85 and the most points at 132 in the entire WHL, followed by Dylan Gunther 78, Savoie had 75, Benson 72, Stan Coven 65. So it was not even close. Connor Bedard was the best player in the WHL, just like he was in real life. And just like that, the Regina Pats are in the WHL final. Can we win and go on to the Memorial Cup, where we actually have to win the trophy? And there we go. The Regina Pats are WHL champions. There's a trophy. Now we are on to the Memorial Cup, where the real trophy is won. Let's go on and see if we can get the CHL done and over with in one season. And in year number 1, the Regina Pats are going to go all the way and win the Memorial Cup as they beat the Kamloops Blazers in the Memorial Cup final. So it would only end up taking Connor Bedard one season to complete the WHL challenge. Now he has to move up to the ECHL and do the same exact thing. I cannot wait to see Connor Bedard's totals for the playoffs, man. That dude probably went off like a mother. The Kamloops Blazers are sad as hell. Oh my gosh. I swear this cutscene is actually better than the actual Stanley Cup celebration cutscene. There he is, Connor Bedard, shaking the hands of the Kamloops Blazers. And here he is, Connor Bedard, coming to collect the Memorial Cup. He did not get to do it in real life, but in NHL 23, he is a Memorial Cup champion with the Regina Pats. And now it's time to move on to the ECHL and the Indiana Fuel, I think the name is. Now for the playoffs, Connor Bedard is going to finish with 28 goals and 47 points in only 24 playoff games. This dude went absolutely off, just like I said he would. He would obviously end up having the most goals and points for the entire playoffs. His teammate would have 27, only 1 goal but 26 assists. Lambert had 23, Gunther 21, Howe 20, Zellweger 20. Connor Bedard is pretty much going to take home every single major individual award in the CHL, the playoff MVP, the 4 Broncos Memorial Trophy. What the hell is that? The Bob Clark Trophy, which is the top scorer trophy, the Brad Howring Trophy, which is awarded to the most sportsmanship player, the top rookie award, even though Connor Bedard is not a rookie in the WHL. Of course, he's going to win the WHL plus minus award. Why is that even a thing? Why is there an award for who has the best plus minus? That is the most meaningless stat in the entirety of hockey, if I'm being honest. And of course, he's going to win the WHL playoff MVP. Who else would it be, honestly? All right, there he is. Connor Bedard now has moved up to the ECHL. He's on the Indy Fuel, and this is their jersey jersey, rate it 1 to 10, boys. This is the ECHL affiliate of the Chicago Blackhawks. As you can see on the shoulder of their jersey, it has the Chicago logo and the AHL logo for the Rockford IceHogs. Connor Bedard has also jumped up to an 88 overall. He's obviously going to be on the first line, so he's going to be a little better than he was in the CHL, which makes sense because he's a year older and he's just going to keep growing until he gets into his prime in the NHL. Somehow the Indy Fuel are not even going to make the ECHL playoffs, as they're going to finish 5th in the Central Division. They would end up going 32, 29, and 11, good enough for 75 points. They were tied with the Wheeling Nailers, but I guess Wheeling had like the season series or something like that. But goddamn, adding an 88 Connor Bedard is not even going to make the playoffs with the Indy Fuel. What, do they have like the worst team in the ECHL? Honestly, I have no idea. Despite not making the playoffs, Connor Bedard is going to have a great regular season, 59 goals and 94 points in 72 games. After that, Watson had 41. That is a huge gap. Baker, 38. Watson, again, Watson. Are these guys brothers? Is Matthew and Spencer Watson brothers on the Indy Fuel? Somebody in the comments let me know. Connor Bedard is going to end up leading the entire ECHL in goals with 59 and points with 94. Maxim had 67. Tristan had 62. Gugolev had 61. Nikolaev had 61 as well. So nobody was really on the level of Connor Bedard, but that does not matter because the Indy Fuel have not even made the ECHL playoffs. So we're going to have to redo this season all over again and see if Connor Bedard can make the playoffs with the Indy Fuel next season. And the Rapid City Rush are going to go on and win the Kelly Cup as they beat the Orlando Solar Bears in Game 7 of the ECHL Finals. The Indy Fuel are going to have a great bounce back season as they're going to end up finishing 2nd in the entirety of the ECHL. They would end up going 44, 23, and 5. The only team that would be better than us would be the Fort Wayne Comets, not the Fort Wayne Gremlins of the PHL. Connor Bedard is going to have an incredible season, 66 goals and 142 points. I mean, let's be honest, he absolutely carried the Indy Fuel to the 2nd spot in the entire ECHL. Watson would be up there with 59 points, 48, 43, 41. Obviously, for the entire ECHL, Connor Bedard is going to have the most goals and the most points. Next closest was 79, Ilya Nikolaev. Maxim had 68. Watson was up there. Reichma had 58. Butler 58. And just like that, the Indy Fuel have made the ECHL Finals. Honestly, I have no idea who they're up against, but can they go on and win the Kelly Cup in Connor Bedard's 2nd season? And the Indy Fuel have gone on to win the Kelly Cup as they beat, I don't even know who they beat in the ECHL Finals, but regardless, Connor Bedard and the Indy Fuel have gone on to win the entirety of the ECHL. He spent 1 year in the CHL and now 2 in the ECHL, but he's finally a Kelly Cup champion. I believe we would actually end up sweeping that team in the ECHL Finals as well. And now we are going to be able to move up to the AHL and see if we can capture the Calder Cup, baby. And there he is, Connor Bedard as an Indy Fuel. 2 down, 2 more to go, boys. There he is, Connor Bedard coming to collect the Kelly Cup for the very first time in his career. He was a Memorial Cup champion and now he's a Kelly Cup champion. We got 2 of them done, boys. 2 more to go, the Calder Cup and of course the Stanley Cup. Let's go and do that. Connor Bedard would absolutely dominate the entire playoffs, 26 goals and 38 points in only 23 playoff games. And unfortunately, there are no awards for the ECHL in season mode in NHL 23. So now we are going to move on to the AHL, the Rockford IceHogs. And there he is, boys, Connor Bedard in a Rockford IceHogs jersey. He is the captain of the team, despite it not saying he has the C there. I don't know why it's doing that, but regardless, this is the AHL affiliate of the Chicago Blackhawks, as you can see on the shoulders of the jersey. So Connor Bedard has jumped up to a 93 overall, obviously on the first line of the Rockford IceHogs. So that means he's going to be much better than he was in the ECHL and definitely the WHL. Overall, this team, honestly, I don't know how good they are compared to the other teams in the AHL, but having a 93 overall first line center is going to help a ton. Now let's find out if Connor Bedard can go on and win the Calder Cup. The Rockford IceHogs are going to end up finishing 7th in the entirety of the AHL. They would end up going 41, 24, and 7. The Senators, the Checkers, the Bruins, the Crunch, the Gulls, and the Barracuda would be the teams ahead of us. But overall, at least we didn't miss the playoffs like we did in the ECHL. That was tough, I gotta be honest. Connor Bedard is only going to put up 39 goals, but would have 61 assists for 100 points on the season. season. Gust would have 53, Templey 46, Remedy would have 43, Senny 42. I know, I'm absolutely butchering those names. Despite having a bit of a down season, Connor Bedard is still going to lead the entire AHL in goals with 39 and points with 100, followed by Sakura 69, Malochi 66, I can't even pronounce that name, Loretti had 64. So yet again for points, it was not even close. Connor Bedard had 30 more points than second place. For goals though, it was a lot closer as second place had 35 goals, 4 goals behind Connor Bedard's 39. And just like that, the Rockford Ice Hogs have made the AHL Finals, or the Calder Cup Finals, whatever the hell it's called. We are up against the Phantoms. Can we go on and capture the Calder Cup with Connor Bedard? And the Rockford Ice Hogs are going to go on and win the Calder Cup as they beat the Phantoms in 5 games in the Calder Cup Finals. Connor Bedard, when he makes the finals, has been absolutely dominant with his teams, as we have got 3 of the 4 challenges done. 1 more to go, boys. And there he is, Connor Bedard, as a member of the Rockford Ice Hogs, as they are Calder Cup champions. Only took them 1 year to get there. We spent 2 in the ECHL, so I'm glad we got this done in 1. And there he is, Connor Bedard, collecting the Rockford Ice Hogs Calder Cup that they deserve. He has a Memorial Cup, an ECHL Cup, or a Kelly Cup, whatever the hell it's called, a Calder Cup. 3 down, 1 more to go. Now it's time to go and win a Stanley Cup with Connor Bedard. Now for the playoffs, Connor Bedard would end up having 19 goals and 36 points in only 24 playoff games. A very good playoff run by him. Connor Bedard is going to take home the Art Ross, the Hart Trophy, the Maurice Richard Trophy, the Rookie of the Year Award, and of course the Jack A. Butterfield Trophy, which was awarded to the most valuable player of the Calder Cup playoffs. He would also take home the Sportsmanship Award because you know Bedsy is always good with the crowd. And there he is, Connor Bedard on the Chicago Blackhawks, the team that he's going to be joining in this upcoming NHL season. I gotta be honest, boys, he looks very good in a Chicago uniform. Connor has jumped up all the way to a 99 overall. He's in the prime of his career. I mean, he's only 20, but he's going to play like the best player in the entire NHL. He's obviously going to be on the first line of the Chicago Blackhawks with Jonathan Toews, who's an 84, and Taylor Radish, 81. But Connor Bedard should definitely help out Chicago immediately. I mean, he's a 99. Why wouldn't he? And after every season that we do not win the Stanley Cup, we are going to be adding 1 NHL superstar, any of my choosing, to the Chicago Blackhawks. So let's go on and see if we can win a Stanley Cup with Connor Bedard on the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, obviously, the Chicago Blackhawks are not going to make the playoffs. They would end up finishing 7th in the Central. They would end up going 41, 34, and 7, so they did have a winning record, but they were 1 point back of the Winnipeg Jets, who got the wild card spot, so maybe we're not far off. At the end of Connor Bedard's rookie season in the NHL, he's going to put up 70 goals and 135 points, obviously leading his team. He would also end up leading the entire NHL in goals and points, followed by Nathan McKinnon, who had 113, Connor McDavid 107, Brad Marchand 106, Mikko Rantanen had 105, Leon Draisaitl 101, Pasta had 97. For goals, Rantanen would come in second place with 56 goals, followed by Linus 54, Kucherov had 51, Pasta 47, McKinnon 46, Jack Eichel 45. Alright, now that we know that Chicago did not make the playoffs, let's go ahead, simulate the entirety of the playoffs, and then add a NHL superstar of my choosing to Chicago. Somehow the Minnesota Wild are actually going to go on and win the Stanley Cup as they beat the Boston Bruins in 5 games in the Stanley Cup final. Connor Bedard is going to take home the Ted Lindsay, the Maurice Richard, the Art Ross, and the Hart Trophy. Kale Makar is going to win the Norris, the Lady Bing to Bedsy, and the Conn Smythe is going to go to Kaprizov. Ilya Samsonov is going to win the Vezina, and the Selke is going to go to Alexander Barkov. So the first player that I'm going to be adding to the Chicago Blackhawks is none other than Connor McDavid. He's a 97 overall, going to be playing on that first line with Connor Bedard, who is a 99, and they're definitely going to be a dynamic duo to be reckoned with. Probably the best duo in the entire NHL, if I'm being honest. Now, despite adding Connor McDavid to the Chicago Blackhawks, they're still going to end up finishing 7th in the Central. They would actually have a much worse regular season, winning 34 games, 41 losses, and 7 overtime losses. Connor McDavid is going to lead the Chicago Blackhawks in points with 105, followed by Connor Bedard's 101. Only only 40 goals and 101 points for Connor Bedard after scoring, what, like 70 goals last season? What happened? Nathan MacKinnon is going to have the most points in the NHL with 115, followed by Connor McDavid's 105, Mikko Rantanen 103, Connor Bedard 101, Austin Matthews at 99, Steven Stamkos 98. For goals, Matthews is going to have the most in the NHL at 59, followed by McKinnon's 54, Kucherov at 46, Laine 46, McDavid 46, Ovi 45, and yet again, no playoffs for Connor Bedard and the Chicago Blackhawks, unfortunately, but that does mean that we are going to be able to add another NHL player to Chicago. Alright, so the next player that I'm going to be adding to the Chicago Blackhawks is going to be Kale Makar at a 94 overall. He's going to be on the first line with Caleb Jones, who's an 81. He's obviously going to be our best defenseman. Hopefully, he can help us actually make the playoffs this season. So finally, the Chicago Blackhawks are going to make the playoffs as they end up finishing second in the Central. They would go 43, 26, and 13. They would also end up finishing as the 6th best team in the entire NHL. Connor Bedard would have a comeback season, scoring 74 goals and 144 points, followed by McDavid, who had 148 goals. Kale Makar had 97. Connor Bedard is going to lead the entire NHL in goals with 74 and points with 144, followed by Austin Matthews, who had 103, Mitch Marner 101, Connor McDavid 100, Mikko Rantanen was up there, Leon Draisaitl, William Nylander, Kale Makar. For goals, Connor McDavid is going to come in second place with 48 goals, followed by Matthews 45, Rantanen 42, McKinnon 41, Tyler Toffoli was up there, Patrick Laine, Nikita Kucherov, Patrick Kane. Now obviously Chicago would get absolutely smacked by the Colorado Avalanche in 5 games in round number 1, and the New York Rangers are going to go on and sweep the Vegas Golden Knights to win the Stanley Cup. Connor Bedard yet again is going to take home every single major individual award. Kale Makar is going to win the Norris to Lady Bing Nebedzi, and the Conn Smythe to Patrick Kane. Lincolns is going to win the Vezina, and the Selke is going to go to Bergeron. Now for the next player that I'm going to be adding to Chicago, it's going to be Andrei Vasilevsky, who's a 94 overall. He is the highest rated goalie in the entire game. Our backup's going to be Peter Mrazek at a 80, so hopefully Vasi can play all 82 games. Chicago is going to end up finishing second in the entire NHL. They will go 52, 24, and 6. The Colorado Avalanche would be the only team better, as they would go 53, 23, and 6. Connor Bedard is going to continue to light up the NHL as he scores 67 goals and 149 points. McDavid had 101, Kale Makar 87. Yet again, Bedsy is going to lead the entire NHL in goals with 67 and points with 149, followed by Marchand's 107, McDavid 101, Pasternak 89, McKinnon 88. For goals, Matthews is going to come in second place with 51 goals, followed by Jack Eichel's 45, Patrick Laine 45, Ovi had 44, DeBrincat 42, and McDavid 41. And just like that, the Chicago Blackhawks have made the Stanley Cup final. Can Connor Bedard go on and complete the challenge, winning the Stanley Cup in NHL 23? And the Chicago Blackhawks are going to go on and win the Stanley Cup as they beat the Ottawa Senators in 5 games in the Stanley Cup final. Connor Bedard has completed the challenge. He won the Memorial Cup, the Kelly Cup, the Calder Cup, and finally he's a Stanley Cup champion. Connor Bedard is going to take home the Conn Smythe for the Chicago Blackhawks. Who else would it be? I mean, maybe Connor McDavid could have won it, but Connor Bedard is a 99 overall, and there it is, finally the Stanley Cup being raised in Chicago yet again for the first time since 2015. And here comes the captain, the future captain in real life of the Chicago Blackhawks, Connor Bedard, coming to collect the Stanley Cup. For the very first time in his career, he has completed the challenge. He has a Memorial Cup, a Kelly Cup, a Calder Cup, and now a Stanley Cup. Connor Bedard is going to lead the entire playoffs in goals with 17 and points with 38. Connor McDavid had 29, Alex DeBrincat 24, Breadman 24, Jonathan Taves had 7 goals and 22 points, Timmy Stu was up there, Kale Makar had 22, and yet again, Connor Bedard is going to collect the Ted Lindsay, the Maurice Richard, the Art Ross, and the Hart Trophy. Kale Makar is going to win the Norris, the Lady Bing Nebedzi, and the Conn Smythe as well to Bedard. Linus Ullmark is going to win the Vezina, and the Selke is going to go to Alexander Barkov. And that is going to do it for this video, boys. Connor Bedard has completed the challenge. He started his career on the Regina Pats of the WHL, won the Memorial Cup, won the Kelly Cup, the Calder Cup, and then finally the Stanley Cup. If you guys did enjoy the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, don't be silly. Wrap your willy.